Have you ever wondered how some stories draw you in and don't let go? Just imagine being able to captivate an audience with tales that linger on their minds, compelling them to act. I'm super excited today as I sit down with none other Suzanne Hart, Mindset Mastery Mentor, as we do this exclusive live video today. And what we're going to be doing is unveiling the secrets to powerful storytelling that enables us to resonate with our audience and be able to capture attention and persuade. And so we're going to be discussing why mastering the art of speaking and storytelling is crucial for anyone who's looking to make a real impact with their message. So this is for you, especially if you are a coach out there, you're an entrepreneur, you're a speaker, and your main goal is striving to elevate your influence and effectiveness through storytelling. But before we get started, Suzanne, I want to take a minute to just welcome all of our guests, our super achievers who are joining us on the live today. And so if you are out there, drop us a comment and let us know where you are watching from, because we would love to know where you are from, where you're hailing from. We also want to know, who do you serve in your business and how you serve in your business? And then also, we want to take a minute to just welcome, Suzanne, the new members of our Storytelling for Super Achievers community. Now, I'm going to tell you, Suzanne, we are getting ready for our Unleash the Power of Your Story training that's coming up on Thursday, May 16th. And I have to say, I've been watching just the new members coming into our Facebook community, and we are getting such great conversations. We're getting amazing questions on just ways on how our super achievers could level up their speaking and storytelling. And so I just want to set the stage for everyone today and let them know what we're up to. So over the next week and a half, Suzanne and I will be on here doing Facebook Lives every day at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to try our best to answer most, if not all, of the questions that are coming up in our Super Achievers community. And so we're super excited. Like I said, we are on the cusp of our Unleash the Power of Your Story Masterclass, and that's coming up on May the 16th, which is on a Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll be able to share more details on that with you as well. And so today, Suzanne, we're talking about unlocking your storytelling potential. If I could get untongue tied today. All right. So what do you want to kick it off? What do you want to start us off today?
Well, I think I want to start it off with just letting people know the power of story. And I was one of those speakers way back when who took the stage with amazing content. And I really did think that my content was magnificent. My content was king. And I remember my coach telling me that, Suzanne, your content is excellent. It's spot on. And then he looked at me and he said something was missing. And I said, I don't understand. And he said, well, people know about your success. People know how, what you do. They know you teach them how to do some of the things that you do, but they don't know you. And I thought, well, yeah, they do. And he said, no, they don't. And I was looking at him going, but they do. And what he was talking about was they didn't know my journey. They didn't know what it took for me to get from point A to point B. And he asked me to tell my story. And it wasn't the story of, oh my gosh, how wonderful I was. It was my story of being physically exhausted, financially upside down, and praying for an answer. It was a story where I had quit my job, got divorced, moved out of the city of Toronto, and was so afraid of my next step, but willing to take one. And of course, I jumped in at that point into network marketing and failed. And I don't mean fail long-term, but my first year was like nothing happened. And it wasn't until I understood this one thing and David got me to tell the story of my journey on stage. And when I began to tell the story, that personal story, that story that I carried a lot of shame and embarrassment about, it was the first time I saw true engagement in an audience. And I don't mean people commenting, but people actually leaning in and being captivated by what I was saying. And when I got off the stage, Taria, what began to happen were people started telling me, oh my goodness, you told my story. That's exactly where I'm sitting. You just changed my life. All these different comments. And it came from me sharing my private moments, my failures, my challenges, my moments of hopelessness. And what I realized was that the people who needed to hear my story were struggling in the same places I had struggled. And so when they heard my journey, I became relatable to them. So the thing that David was actually saying to me was, Suzanne, you're not relatable in all your perfection. Because that's how I came to the stage, looking real good. And he said, I want you to look human. I want you to look real. I want you to be transparent and I want you to be authentic. I was like, what? However, being able to tell my story gave me access to all of those things. So that's the key thing. That's where I want to open as far as as it goes when it comes to storytelling.
Yeah. And I know I have to say this also from personal experience. A lot of our super achievers out there probably thinking about, what do you mean, tell the story of the challenges and the story of the failures. That doesn't make me look good. And so I remember my first time sitting down speaking with you around that same topic. And you said, the problem is, people see perfection when they see you on social media. They see the perfect curated page, they see the perfectly crafted post and all of that stuff. But what they don't get a chance to see is Taria. So who is Taria? Who is the behind the scenes girl? And I'm going to tell you that one question, Suzanne, had me shaking in my boots. I'm like, what do you want me to tell people, all of my failures? No, I don't want to let people know how I fail. I want them to see the finished product. I want to be able to show up after I've figured the thing out. So after I
Yeah.
figure the thing out, then I'm going to show up and share with people, this is how you do it. And I remember that was the biggest challenge that you gave to me. It's like, no, it's not the end of the journey that people want to see. People want to be able to, go through the mess and know what the challenges are, because it's in the struggle that we all relate to each other. So that was huge for me. So my question would be, like, what would you, say to another super achiever out there who might be feeling that same way?
Well, I think what we want to remember is that we connect in our humanness. We connect in our pain. And that's why, I hate to say it, but gossip is so powerful. That's why we have been telling stories since the beginning of time. That's why we lean in when we hear a good story, because we want to know the details. We want to know the journey. We want to know what happened.
Mhm.
And so it makes sense that when we share our story, that people connect with us because we suddenly become relatable.
Yeah.
We suddenly become human. And I remember, meeting great speakers and being in total awe of them, and actually relating that to them as somewhat like superheroes and untouchable. And actually thinking, if only I could be like that, but not believing it was possible for me. I remember, just relating to other entrepreneurs who were doing so well and thinking, if only, but not really believing it was possible for me. And I remember it was when people started sharing with me their challenges. And one that comes to mind was a beautiful woman by the name of Carolyn Rodriguez. And I was struggling in my business. And she then sat me down and she said, Suzanne, I am like 9 years ahead of you on this journey. And I
Mm.
was like, oh. And then she said, when I first started, I didn't know who to talk to. I couldn't make a it was she was struggling to make a sale. She didn't have a list, and it was her telling me these things and me seeing the success she was having, and then her just giving me these tips and things I needed to do that made where my experience normal.
Yeah.
And then I related to it, this is part of the journey. It's not that I'm not doing well. I'm just in the first phase. And that gave me such courage. It gave me encouragement to just keep moving. And I think that's what our stories do if they're told correctly.
Yeah. I
And
love
that's
it.
the key word.
If it's told correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because I know, like I said, I, for one, I was just like, I don't want to share, the terrible parts, in it. Like, why would somebody want to work with me, or why would someone want to be a part of my circle if I'm sharing all of the things that I didn't get right
Hmm.
in business?
Well, I want you to think of great movies, right? Any great movie that we watch, the lead character life is usually good for a moment in the movie, right? At the very beginning.
Yeah.
And of course, the lead character experiences a catastrophe, something that has their life spin out of control. They're feeling like they're failing, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're wondering, how could this happen to me? That's the foundation of a great movie. And we get intrigued. We get intrigued by what's going on. How are they going to survive? What's going to happen next? And where we get inspired is when that person who's experiencing those challenges
Right.
kind of picks themselves up, dusts themselves off, and says, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. I am not going to fail. I'm going to push through. I'm going to find an answer. And as they're going through that journey, and I call it the journey from victim to hero, we get enamored with them. And if you notice, in most places, you start rooting for them. You start like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do next? We if we're watching movies, some people will talk to the TV and say, don't go over there or do this, and we cheer if you're in theaters. The reason being is because we're now connected to that character and we want them to win. Well, I like to say that as I tell my story, I'm the reflection of possibility for the person who's listening. And if they're on a similar journey and they have experienced similar challenges, I'm a mirror of what is possible. I am a mirror that they're in the right place. And just like a movie, I become the hero in my story. Well, they don't want me to be the hero in their story. What they're actually looking for is that person that can guide them through what they're going through. So I build my credibility as the potential guide because I've walked in the similar shoes. I can show you what to do because I intimately know the challenges you're facing. That's the magic of a great movie. And that's the magic of a story. That's why we cry at movies. That's why we cry when we hear a great story. That's why some people cry at a well-crafted commercial that moves us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the power.
Yeah, awesome. And so the name of the program is Unleash the Power of Your Story: How to Get Seen, Hired, and Paid What You're Worth. And so tell me a little bit more, share with our audience a little bit more, like, why is this really important? How does this all come into play for, like I said, the coaches, the entrepreneurs? Why is this a skill that everyone needs to have under their belt?
Well, I'm gonna go back to personal experience. And remember, I said that when I first started in my network marketing journey, and then again in this business, when I started my network marketing journey, I wasn't doing very well. Well, I was selling and telling. And
Mm,
we all know what it's like to sell and tell. Product, 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 information, 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 no human connection. What I realized was when I started to, one, tell my story and listen to the stories of other people, I would actually be able to find the intersection, the
mhm,
place where we both could relate, the place where the person I was presenting to had a need that I knew I could answer, and I could share my journey to show them how I could address that need. And it was when I started not just talking products and services, but listening to their story and sharing my story that my business took off. Why? Because content, as much as we're told, is not everything, right? The reason we use stories is stories create a beautiful environment for content to have real meaning. Stories create that environment where people listen to us differently because it builds relationship and it builds credibility. So for me, what turned my business around was being able to tell a good story and listen to great stories. It also, just the act of speaking and learning to tell stories built my confidence, whether I was in front of one person or whether I was in front of 10 or 100 or 1,000. And the other thing it did was it built my credibility. Because the minute you stand in front of a room and you sound good and you can tell a great crafted story, people see you as credible. So for me, the reason this is so important, I believe it is a marketing skill that
Right.
has us go from one to one to possibly one to many that most speakers, coaches, consultants do not use, that most entrepreneurs don't see as a possibility for them. I'm telling you, it will give you access to places and spaces that you may not have access to now.
Yeah. And I for one could definitely attest to that. So anyone who knows me know in the beginning I totally resisted speaking. So I was one of those people that had a terrible fear of public speaking. Whether you say large stages, I say any stage. Whether it's a large stage, small stage, I was just afraid of the stage and being able to speak in public. And so working with you has definitely, quelled my fear. I came through
Mhm.
the power of your story, and I've learned some things, and things that made it a whole lot less scarier. And I encourage every super achiever out there, every coach, every entrepreneur who knows, that this is the next step, that you need to elevate your business to increase your influence in the marketplace. But you may have questions. Is it for me? Or how do I do it? I don't know. We are here to say that we are super excited to be able to help you on the journey. And so, with that being said, this is our personal invitation. I get a chance to co host Unleash the Power of Your Story Masterclass with Suzanne whenever she does it. And we're doing one coming up Thursday, May the 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and drop the banner across the bottom of the screen. And so, if you are tuning in, you're watching us live, or even if you're coming back on the replay, and any of the things that Suzanne and I have shared with you resonates with you, and you know that this is your next step, you don't want to delay. You want to go ahead and reserve your seats. And now I'm going to tell you, I'm watching all the stuff on the back end. I am seeing registrations, rolling in. And I truly I get excited because I have the opportunity to see how this affects people who come through the class. It's such a beautiful thing to see people work through their story, understanding the structure. Yes, we're going to teach you the structure. There's frameworks for people
Mhm.
like that structure, and say, oh, if you tell me how to do it, step one, step two, you're actually going to get that coming through the Unleash the Power of Your Story Masterclass. And so, Suzanne, I'm going to let you wrap up our live today with any just last minute shares that you want to share with our super achievers, and just let everyone know, if you have not as yet reserved your spot on the masterclass, there's still time for you to do that. The
Yeah.
link is going across the bottom of the screen, and I've also made it super easy. It's also in the description of the video as well. So click the link and make sure that you reserve your spot. So as we get ready to close out today's session, what would you like to share? the last minute takeaway for our super achievers today?
I think what I'd like to share is there might be people out there saying, I know how to tell a story. And I would say that I thought I knew how to tell a
Mhm.
story. I have been studying this for a number of years, and there's an art to crafting a story that moves people, particularly if you want to create an invitation for a sale, for join me, for um, having someone register with you, or just become part of your community.
Mm.
There's a way to do this. What we're going to be doing on this masterclass is we're going to give you an inside peek behind the scenes on how to structure a story that plays like a movie, that touches, moves, and inspires someone to want to know more about what you do and to take action with you. And that's really what every speaker, every entrepreneur, coach, consultant, author, trainer definitely wants, is to be able to attract the right person who wants to know more and they're asking questions about your business and your opportunity.
All right. All right. So, super achievers, we said that we weren't going to be before you too long today, but tune in and join us again tomorrow. So, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, these are a series of conversations that we're going to have leading up to our Unleash the Power of Your Story masterclass that's happening on Thursday, May the 16th. And so, until then, take care until we see you guys tomorrow.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everyone.